And I also have to be honest about something harder. I definitely weaponize my own pain at times. My pain became a shield, a defense, a way to avoid sitting with the damage, the accountability, or the reality of what my own actions were creating around me. Internally, I felt like I was bleeding out everywhere emotionally. And because of that, even simple things started to feel impossible. Things that would have normally not been hard for me just felt overwhelming. And part of me would think, how could you even ask of that from me right now? Can't you see that I'm just surviving? But pain doesn't erase responsibility. And I'm learning that now in a deeper way. Because there were moments where my tears came too quickly, moments where I immediately moved to hurt and grief or victimization instead of sitting still long enough to face what I had done too. And that is so uncomfortable to admit. Because yes, there were things done to me that hurt deeply, but somewhere along the way, I also started using my pain as protection from accountability. You did this to me. And sometimes that was true. But sometimes I used my suffering to avoid looking honestly at the ways I was hurting other people too. I think unresolved pain can make us self-focused without realizing it. You become so consumed with your own bleeding that you stop recognizing how much blood is getting on everyone around you too. And honestly, that realization carries grief for me because I know my pain hurt people. I know my instability hurt people. And there's another part of this I need to be honest about too. There were seasons where pain changed my whole personality. I became so angry sometimes, controlling emotionally, and so judgmental and defensive, and more reactive than ever before. And honestly, I hated parts of myself during that time because deep down, I knew that was not who I truly was. Pain started changing the way I saw people, the way I reacted, the way I loved. And underneath all of it, I think I was terrified. Terrified of more loss, terrified of abandonment, and terrified of being hurt again. And fear has a way of hardening people if they stay in it long enough. And one of the hardest parts of all of this for me to admit is what I did to my kids. They really needed me. And emotionally, there were seasons where I just wasn't fully there. Not because I don't love them. God, I love them more than anything. But pain had me trapped inside of myself. And that's the part that still breaks my heart sometimes. Because when pain becomes your identity, you stop living. You start surviving yourself. I think there were seasons where I woke up already emotionally exhausted, not because something happened that day, but because internally I was carrying years of fear and grief, loss and shame, disappointment, and emotional instability all at once. And eventually, you stop separating yourself from the pain. You don't say, I'm struggling. Instead, you start believing this is just who I am, an anxious person, a broken person, a grieving person, a damaged person. And when pain becomes your identity, you start protecting it. You defend it, and you'll explain your life through it. And you expect people to manage around it. And honestly, sometimes I think I became emotionally addicted to my own sadness. Not because I wanted to suffer, but because pain had become familiar. And familiar feels safe, even when it's destroying you. There were moments where healing almost felt threatening to me. Because if it wasn't the hurting person anymore, then who was I? And that question felt terrifying because pain had shaped how I saw relationships, how I saw myself, how I parented, how I reacted emotionally, how I interpreted love. And somewhere along the way, I stopped seeing myself as a whole person. I forgot I was creative. I forgot how thoughtful I was. I forgot I was capable. I forgot I was still a woman with dreams and ideas and vision, with humor and beauty and purpose, and life still lived inside of her. Pain reduced me down to survival. And honestly, I think grief does that sometimes, especially prolonged grief. Not just grieving people, but grieving the version of your life you thought you would have. Grieving safety, grieving stability, grieving innocence, and grieving trust, and grieving the years you can't get back. And after enough disappointment, you almost stop expecting goodness altogether. You start preparing for loss before it even happens. And honestly, one of the hardest things for me to accept is that some of the things I lost may never come back. Some relationships may never fully heal. Some years can never be relived. Some memories still ache when I think about them. And healing has looked like learning just to sit with that reality without letting it destroy me. Because acceptance is not hopelessness. Acceptance is honesty. And honestly, I think for a long time, I believed if I stayed hurt enough and grieved enough or carried enough guilt, maybe somehow I could undo what was already done. But pain cannot rewrite the past. It can only consume the present if we let it. And lately, God has been showing me something gently. Healing is not pretending the pain never happened. Healing is learning that pain is not all that you are. And honestly, that realization has been so emotional for me. Because I can look back now and admit, yes, I was hurt deeply, but I also hurt people deeply. And both things can be true at the same time. That's maturity. That's accountability. And that's healing. And I think for a long time, I was waiting for everybody else to change first, waiting for everybody else to finally understand my pain first, waiting for life to finally feel fair first. But healing started when I stopped asking who hurt me and started asking, who am I becoming through this? Because pain will shape you if you'll let it. But pain does not have permission to define you forever. And honestly, I still have moments where fear shows back up, moments where grief shows back up, moments where old emotional patterns try to pull me backward. But I don't live there the way I used to. I'm learning how to recognize myself outside of survival mode. I'm learning that peace does not make me weak. Rest does not make me lazy. Stability does not make my life empty. And maybe most importantly, I'm learning that I do not have to earn love through suffering. God never asked me to destroy myself to prove my worth. And honestly, that truth alone is changing me slowly. I think healing starts when we finally allow ourselves to believe I am more than what has hurt me. Not because the pain wasn't real, but because God created you for more than survival. And maybe, just maybe, that's where living begins again. And next episode, I want to talk about something that honestly changed me once I finally understood it. Because healing is not just emotional, it's physical too. Your body remembers survival. Your nervous system remembers fear. Your mind remembers the chaos. And sometimes, even after your life changes, your body still reacts like danger is everywhere. I want to talk about the anxiety and stress and burnout, the physical toll emotional pain takes on us. Because for years, I thought I was just emotionally broken. But eventually I realized my body was carrying things my heart never fully processed. And learning how to care for myself physically, emotionally, and spiritually has become part of learning how to live again. So, next episode, we're going to talk about what survival does to the body and what healing can actually look like in real life. This is Pipe. Plug into positive energy, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you for sitting with us today, where restoration begins.